Oh my. Yes, nice. Good, good. One little flex here, one little flex
Hey,
there.
would you cut that out? You're gonna sap the life out of the batteries again.
I know,
Breathe, Thunder. More like bring the ibuprofen for the headaches you're giving me. Sorry about that, guys. Heyo, I'm the Neal part of Neal Illustrator. I don't know if you've been up to date on what's been kind of going on behind the scenes here at the channel, but I've been kind of neck deep in Greek mythology musicals, specifically one about the Odyssey. I'm not really sure if you've heard of it. It's kind of a new thing. It's called Epic the Musical. It is by Jorge Rivera Herrán. Entering this fandom was wild from the very beginning, so I figure it's about time that I step away from the tablet and let you guys have a sneak peek behind the curtain to see what really goes into making these animatics. But before I do that, let me initiate the uninitiated and tell you the story, briefly, of the Odyssey. The Odyssey is written by Homer and named after Odysseus, our main character, king of Ithaca, who has just wrapped up a 10-year war with the Trojans, with the use of his wits, his prowess, and a giant wooden horse. After one bout of infanticide and some ill-advised food rationing, him and his 600 men must make the boat trip back home so that Odysseus can reunite with his beautiful, amazing, smart, hot wife Penelope and his now grown son Telemachus. After listening to some lotus eaters tripping out in the woods, Odie and his merry band of misfits break into the home of a Cyclops, and upon blinding things to get away, manage to piss off its father, the big bad water dad himself, Poseidon. From there, the 2-month trek home is extended into a 20-year-long excursion that is filled with gods, a trip to the underworld, death of his crew, and the slaughter of 108 suitors who were trying to woo Odie's wife while he was away. Funny story before we continue. Originally, Thunderbringer was not supposed to be my first animatic. It was supposed to be Open Arms. Now, before you rush off to go scour my page for this elusive animatic, I wanted to tell you that it doesn't exist publicly anywhere yet. Sure, I did keyframe illustrations for it, character breakdowns, hell, it's fully blocked out. However, the day I was going to start cleanup on it, the Thunder Saga dropped, and my partner ran up to me with a very wild idea.
Yeah, so I think we should shift gears. A new saga's gonna drop, and I think there's a song in the new album that you might really like.
You're joking. Switching gears now would be outrageous. I put all this prep work into this song. I would be starting from square one. And you know, I highly doubt there's a single song that'll be so good that I would even consider throwing this all away. Can you chill it with the lights?
I'm trying my best.
Thousands of years old and still acting like a baby. I think someone's a little tired of my stories and wants me to get into the animatic breakdown. Well, without further ado, grab your sails, gather your men, and buckle up for a very epic journey. And of course, we have to start with the big, the bad, the Thunder Dad. It is Zeus. And yes, I'm using Dad instead of Daddy because I don't need you guys clipping that. Wait, basically the moment the album came out for the Thunder Saga, I started whipping up concepts for Zeus. I needed to nail it in my design. Luke Holt, the VA for Zeus, has this big, amazing, barrel-chested voice that just oozes this feeling of power and cockiness, and I needed to nail it in my design. It took about 30 minutes to finalize Zeus's design. I think I did less than 5 drawings total. I don't really know what happened, but it felt like I'd captured lightning in a bottle. He was just perfect. One of the biggest feelings I really wanted to get in Zeus's design is this feeling of a growing storm, this cloud full of potential energy and electricity that was just about to break. And I really tried to find that in his hair the most. I wanted to lean away from just making him a man with cloud hair and focus more on the raw and terrifying potential power of lightning. Now, I also had to hold back at the same time from just covering him in lightning motifs, since it would quickly start becoming very costumey, so I tried to just keep the lightning in the shape of the hair and the end of his modesty scarf. Originally, he wasn't going to have a scarf, but with the framing I went with, it led to him looking nude for most of the shots. And while that's very on brand for Zeus, I wanted to minimize on YouTube slamming the band hammer on me. Now onto the most important part of Zeus's design. Abs. Oh god, no. Oh my gosh. No. You're misunderstanding me. Abs is not abdominal muscles, it's an acronym. It stands for Avoid Buff Santa Now. There is a time and a place for Buff Santa, but my biggest gripe with it for Zeus is that if you choose to give him a big beard, you cover his chest, which means you lose a huge area of visual interest. For Odie and Zeus, I used their rounded chin hair to make sure they seemed more wise and fatherly. You know, like a couple of dads ready to give you some long-winded advice. While the well-kempt dad hair continued to the top of Odie's head, the same cannot be said for Zeus, who has these two wild, electrified puffs framing his face, showing that while fatherhood is very big to both of their identities, Zeus has this underlying wildness that can't help but crackle to the surface. Truthfully, it's really hard to talk about Zeus's design without talking about Odie's. They were designed to be foils to one another, whose many similarities are overshadowed by their striking differences. Another huge divergence is in their clothing. While at this point in the story, Odie has lost most of his kingly armor, he still holds tight to this cape and medallion belt combo. This sets him apart from his crew, who's mostly in rags and tattered clothing. All his clothing is meant to cover and protect him from the dangers around him. His armor shields him physically from harm while he holds tight to his emotions. On the other hand, you have Zeus, who doesn't need anything to set him apart as king. Confident and boisterous, Zeus is the king of gods and can arrive in whatever he damn well pleases. He wears almost nothing and he needs no protection from danger, because Zeus is the danger. He sports only a tiny scarf as ornamentation, which serves no purpose other than making him look fabulous. Outside of just character design, the framing of the animatic is meant to help show how these two act as a strange mirror to one another.
Hey gang, it's Mox here. Remember me from about 4 minutes and 49 seconds ago? Well, I'm back to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Raid Shuttle Legend. Nah, I'm messing with you, don't worry. This video is actually sponsored by Neal herself. After a few years of selling stuff at comic conventions and doing Etsy, we finally took the plunge and opened up our own online shop. We have everything a growing Greek mythology nerd could want. Standees to add some variety to that robust Miku collection of yours. Or try keeping a comfortable distance away from your 6-foot-tall Zeus body pillow. How about balling out repping the Thunder Papa or Water Daddy on your favorite piece of apparel? And if you're a mega dark edgelord like me, I know you'll want to snuggle up with a good book wrapped in a warm Hades-flavored cardigan. Ah, smells like 100% husband material. So, visit nealillustrator.shop today for all your funny Neal merch and Greek mythology goodies. Link in the description. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled program. Cue the thunder!
When originally putting this animatic together, I really wanted to hone in on the power struggle between two kings, with one clearly having complete power and control. While Odie is a king, we see him absolutely struggling. For the first time, he has absolutely no power and no control over the situation. He's panicking. His eyes are fixed off screen, his gaze frozen in terror as he looks upon the King of Kings arriving to punish them all. Every shot suffocates Odysseus, as the sheer might of Zeus dwarfs the crew in comparison. Many of the shots in the animatic are taken from a low angle, forcing Odie to constantly look up at Zeus. Even when he comes down to face Odie one-on-one, Zeus doesn't shrink down at all. He looms large and powerful, shrouded in clouds. The obscuring of Zeus's lower half was also critical in creating this mystical grandeur that always makes Zeus so terrifying in this animatic. By blocking out Zeus's legs, his link to the ground is taken away, as if stepping onto the mortal land would be an insult to him. Thus, he remains high above. It also removes a human element of seeing his complete form. Most shots containing both Odysseus and Zeus are dominated by the Lord of Lightning, and are framed very wide as Zeus takes up a huge portion of the screen, while Odie can only manage a fraction of the picture. Zeus's mere presence on screen drowns out Odysseus and his crew. The few times we do get close-ups of Odie, it is after Zeus gives his famous ultimatum.
You or your crew?
With this ironic giving of power to Odie over his crew, simultaneously showing how little power Odie has over Zeus. In every shot of this animatic, it is very clear that Odie never stood a chance. There is no outwitting. There is no running. Zeus has graciously granted Odie power to control who will live and who will die. And Odysseus knew, in that moment, there was only one thing he could do.
Yeah, W, but why is it not on the boat? My only problem with this is that it's not on the boat.
Yeah, you know that's not historically accurate.
I get it. I get it. Yes, we will talk about the... Okay. I want to clear this up, since this has been one of the biggest complaints I've been getting since the day this was posted. Yes, I am aware that in the original text that the interaction between Odie and Zeus was on a boat. It was also made abundantly clear that the boat was important and that under no circumstances was it ever supposed to be anywhere but on the boat. But I exercised the use of my creative license and chose to not put it on the boat. Wait. Before all of my Greek anthropologists rushed into my comments, let me at least explain my reasoning for this egregious act. A show of hands. Do you know how big an ancient Greek boat is?
No.
If you do, fantastic, because I don't. You can probably make an educated guess, for sure. But out in the open ocean, the only size comparison for Zeus would be the boat, which we've established is, well, I don't really feel like looking it up, but it is much smaller than a mountain. I put the crew on the shores because the landmarks were just unquestionably big. Stuff like mountains and trees being overshadowed by Zeus really hammered home his absolutely massive body. If he's just hanging out in the clouds above some randomly sized boat, you don't really have the same grasp of his size compared to Zeus leaning flippantly against a mountain, right? Another reason was because the crew failed one last time by not making it onto the boat. This was more heart-wrenching than them all magically making it aboard and rowing to the middle of the ocean just to be stopped. In a way, they became the cows of Helios on that beach, and they were defenseless to slaughter. But I understand, if the boat thing still doesn't vibe with you, it's not a problem anymore, because I fixed it. So here is Thunderbringer on the boat. Okay, jokes aside, I had a blast working on Thunderbringer. In totality, the whole animatic came up to about 500 frames. It took about 6 days to do, start to finish, while still clocking in 8 hours of sleep, food breaks, and some much-needed time to do some Hades 2 runs. All in all, the whole animatic was done pretty leisurely, and I have been chasing that high since. Because the next few I did were much harder, and I wish I'd gotten that much sleep. This video is supposed to be the celebration for hitting 2 million views on the animatic, and surprise, Thunderbringer is at over 7 million views, and growing.
Oh, hell no! Hell no!
All of your love and support for my work has been life-changing. You have no idea how amazing your openness has been to my other work. And seeing some of you guys say, "Oh, I found you through Epic, but I stayed for everything else you're doing," that really does warm my heart. And you have no idea the light it provides in the never-ending pit that is freelance art. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment on which animatic you'd want me to do this to next. I have so many of them. It's so hard to choose. So if you'd like to help me, dude, I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, sorry. I'm kind of in the middle of something. A note for me. Oh God, why is it soaked? Did you run it here in the rain? I can hardly read this. Ruthless? Oh, do ruthlessness next. Ruthlessness? Do you hear boss music?